So if you were to analyze this, this is basically A, E, A, E, A. So I'll do it again. So I'll do it, and oh, this is gonna be hard. Y'all work with me. I'm not Esperanza Spalding. I'll do my best. Here, so A, E, A, E, A. Now I'm saying A, E, A, but it's actually 1, 5, 1. You have your tonic, and then you have your dominant, and then you have your tonic. And that's all that's going on. So phrasing wise, we da 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 da, because the 5 is the dissonant, and then we relax on the 1. Hey everybody, Mozart. I'm playing more Mozart. There's been a lot of Mozart on my on my Instagram page recently, and that's all honestly chance and by luck. We happen to be playing Mozart for the first week of work, and I mean nothing against Mozart. He's a great composer. Like I think he writes really well, so it's good to be playing his music. We're doing a symphony that is not played very often, but it's probably one of the most it's one of the like warmest openings to a symphony that I can think of. Mozart 29. Yeah, I think that is it. It's one of the most engaging, and it's just engaging. It's engaging, but also nice. And warm. It's just, I mean, actually, I would put it, this is very strange, I'm even making this comparison, but it's got the warmth and generosity of, like, let's say the beginning of Sibelius' Second Symphony. There's nothing cocky about it. I think a lot of, like, Beethoven 5, pretty cocky. Anyway, I could go on and on about different aspects of music, but I hope you appreciate that Mozartian quality of that 29th symphony. So we all know it starts, and look at that, it starts with an octave. What did I say about octaves? What did Joe Conyers say about octaves? Can you remember? We don't want to. Please, y'all, don't do that. It hurts my soul. Like it hurts my soul. You might as well just punch me in the face. Yeah, don't do that. So we want to have this. The bassists never play this, but it's the same concept. This thematic material goes throughout the piece, and that leads me to this Instagram excerpt I want to do today. And it's just the end, kind of like the coda. And you notice the bowing I'm doing is, this is actually a really, really popular bowing as a string player. So this down, up, up. So it's 2 plus 1 plus 1. So, but 2 ups. And sometimes bowing can be separate as well. So, or. And we want to be able to do both well, because sometimes we have to do both, and we want to have that in our toolkit. So as far as one of the things you could practice as a musician, and just in your getting your technical skills together, or different bowing combinations like that will help you. So this has the slur plus 2 ups, again, really common in string playing. And you notice there's always this lean, because the first notes of the slur, and this is very indicative, and I've spoken a little bit about this before, it's like this appoggiatura on the wrong note, and generally we emphasize the wrong note and release on the correct note. So that's why it's not, it's hard to even do. But that's not the right music. This is the right music. So so it's almost asking this question. This I don't know. Can I have this? No, please, can I please have it? No, really, can I really? And as it goes up, the tension goes up. And then we actually, volume will bring the volume up as well. So we feel that pull. Anyway, I can go on and on about this stuff, but that is the beginning of this excerpt. And then again the octave, and then he takes that motivic figure, and then he just does this nice little descending chromatic like figure. And the way I'm doing it's forte. Oh, actually, I'm doing it incorrectly. It's forte and then piano. So it's the second note should actually sort of be in the forte. Although I don't know if that's an editing thing because actually that kind of sounds weird to me. To have it. I mean, it's so subtle. I feel like every recording I hear has always been like, but that's a really subtle difference, y'all. Tell me, do you hear the difference between the forte? I mean, there is a difference, but it's very subtle. And then this forte, and we're cadencing into A major. So you notice how I'm doing these phrasing and shaping. So this is to me, again, I talked about this in the Mozart 41. All these shapings and gestures, notes are always coming somewhere or going somewhere. And in this case, we're celebrating A major. So if you were to analyze this, this is basically A, E, A, E, A. So I'll do it again. So I'll do it, and oh, this is gonna be hard. Y'all work with me. I'm not Esperanza's faulting. I'll do my best. Here, so A, E, A, E, A. Now I'm saying A, E, A, but it's actually 1, 5, 1. You have your tonic, and then you have your dominant, and then you have your tonic. And that's all that's going on. So phrasing-wise, we da 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 da, because the 5 is the dissonant, and then we relax on the 1. So let's do that one more time. So going to the 5, 5, and then we can actually come away from that. Good, and that's basically the excerpt, y'all. So y'all, that's why it's really important to know these really important theory matters that actually affect the music. I know sometimes harmony and theory can seem like what's the point? But it actually makes the music make sense. And you've heard what I said about, and what I've said about learning the language. Because when you learn the language of music, then you can actually use the language of music. Think on that for a sec. Again, there are many ways to peel a cucumber. There are many ways. And some people might say you should bang out the downbeat. I think it doesn't sound very Mozartian. And that's, I mean, again, this is my channel. It says Joseph Conyers on it. That's me, Joseph Conyers. And if you don't care, don't. You just. But I think, this is after many years of playing lots of this music, that there's a method to the madness, and that having thoughtfully informed, is what I should say, thoughtfully informed decisions in your music making decision process will lead to a better outcome. I mean, sure, you could do something fun, and you might realize you could do something a little outside of the box that actually still works within the confines of that music. And I say confines, and I know, again, I've said this before, people feel like it's so restricting. Classical music is so restricting. It's not restricting. It's just actually, to me, it's actually, in a lot of ways, it matters, I would say it probably matters what your mind is like. I'm very, in my mind, maybe not in my life, but very ordered. I have to have like lots of order and steps in my mind, like particularly how I play and how I approach things, because when I have that, then I can excel. Some people may not work well in that environment, and so they may think that playing classical music is confining because there are all these rules, but the rules allow me to actually make the music. The rules actually allow me to do more. And I think if we combine that with those where rules are completely out the window, which I think is excellent. And that's kind of one of the neat things about our world and music making in general. Like, are we making music to serve classical masters? Are we making music to serve jazz masters or rap masters or country? I think, at the end of the day, we're making music. And I think it's exciting about what it looks like when we start to have conversations across genres about, again, my approach. Because again, I'm really classically trained, and people ask me if I play jazz all the time. I don't. I'm really bad at jazz. People say, well, you can't be bad at jazz. You play the bass well. I'm bad at jazz. I grew up in a traditional Black Baptist church. And I was a decent pianist at once upon a time. I'm not a good pianist now. I'm trying to work to accompany my students, but that's basically it. But I longed to be able to sit down at the piano like some of these guys who could not read one note on the page, but could improvise and play so marvelously beautifully. It was always so inspirational, and I could not do it. I tried really hard. Because for me, I had to know what the chords were. I had to know what the rules were. And honestly, if I studied that more, I may have actually been able to venture more, because I would have had a deeper understanding of what I was doing. That's just how my mind works. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. That's how my mind works. So in that, I am open to having these conversations, particularly across genres, to see what it could be like in having and working with someone in a different genre and how they approach music, for the differences, but also for the similarities. Because particularly at its harmonic core, the similarities are really the same. And I'll hear a piece of like pop music or even gospel music, and I'll be phrasing just as if I were playing a Mozart symphony, like this one. So it's all the same language, and not all, but a lot of it does come from the Western tradition and thinking of Bach. But there are influences musically that go out way outside of Bach. And to me, the more we start to fuel music with all these different perspectives, I think the better the music will become. This is a big thing in our industry, and most people are like, we have to keep it sacred, and classical music's gonna go away, and I don't think it will. I think it will survive like all other great music has been able to survive. And I think the more we can kind of allow ourselves to work with each other and learn from each other, the music, the art form will only get better and better and better and better. And that, y'all, is very exciting. And I hope to be able to see and witness and experience a lot of that. So as a classical musician, yes, I'm saying think outside the box. I think it's really, really helpful. When talking about this Mozart, you can think outside the box, but again, within the confines of the music. Again, for example, I can take this. You could do that to make some musical statement, but again, it sounds very strange. But maybe one day it will sound great. Maybe one day. Maybe by the time we go to Mars, the Mars Symphony Orchestra will be playing Mozart in that way. Maybe. Just throwing it out there. Probably not. Okay, moving on. So I think I've got worked through most of the excerpts. And what's great about that is Mr. Mozart, he cadences this section. He could actually go there, but he goes and he repeats it again, which means it could actually have a little more energy. Again, when I teach students, I'm like, if the music repeats itself, generally it's for a reason, not for you just to play it the same way, but to say something differently. So, and that takes us to A, and that lets us know we're at the end of the symphony. The 5-1. 5-1. Is it triplets? I think it's I think it's triplets. I'll find out this week when we play it. Now with the metronome. These quarter notes are, again, there are no dots on them. Mozart did not put dots because stylistically it was incorrect. So in that time period, they didn't put dots on quarter notes because everyone knew that if you saw quarter notes in this type of music, you don't play them like this. You're like, well, there are no dots on the page because they just didn't do that. That's why it's so important that we understand the context of what we are playing. The context matters. It totally matters. So these quarter notes are not long. They'll instead be more martelé or martelé. Kind of like a nice martelé. It's not as violent, but there's a sweep in the bow and then there's a release. So there's good, and then the eighth notes are spiccato because that is the era of this music. It's spiccato, not. That just sounds to me ridiculous. So we want to engage the bow. I do have to allow the bow to spring here. And I can probably do a video specifically on spiccato. It's an advanced stroke. I may have done it once before. I don't know. I'll check it out. If you want that, let me know in the comments. And I'll try to make a video on the spiccato. Anyway. So yeah. You've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. The spiccato is, I can't hear you. Oh, you're a camera. Spiccato is a controlled, uncontrolled stroke. A controlled, uncontrolled stroke, or stroke. And depending on how I'm feeling, it could be a uncontrolled, controlled stroke. Yeah, an uncontrolled, controlled stroke. And with that, I'll say it again. I've said this before. The controlled aspect is the fact that we have to hold the bow. And we have to make sure, if I just let go of the bow, it falls on the ground. I'm not going to do that. I already has one crack. Bad idea. But the uncontrolled component is that I'm letting the bow do the work. The slower the speed of the spiccato, the more the arm, the faster the speed, the more I use more of my wrist. And it becomes more of a thrown stroke with the forearm. So if it was this fast, you see how little arm I use. But because this is much slower, I use much more arm. So, and that's how I get that stroke and get that sound. The goal of every string player is, again, louder. Oh yeah, you're a camera. The goal of every string player is to get the string to vibrate. So at its fundamental. So if I practicing all these things and make sure I have them nuanced is how I'm able to make the sound that I make today. And that's just really important to think about. If my sound is something of interest, does that sound weird? My sound is something of interest? That does sound weird. Anyway, I am gonna move on. Let's do one more, a little faster. That's about tempo. Let's see what it sounds like. Getting a little scratch, so I'm gonna put a little more. The weather is changing, so my bow, well, the fact that my bow hasn't been rehaired in forever, and the fact that the weather is changing is that I need a little bit more pep in my articulation step. That's right. I'm gonna get that. Oh, that feels good. That feels much better. Yes, much better. Now I'm going to play it, I'm going to listen and see if I sound like anything and try to get this out. All right, so after a listen, there are some things I actually do want to fix. I want some clarity. I want to make sure that's consistent because it's kind of not consistent. Quarter notes are fine. The eighth notes, these, to make sure the quality of that spiccato stays good up the D string. Like I already feel like I have more control of it. I'm being more thoughtful about it. Sometimes I'm doing these in a rush, and I'm kind of in a rush now, so I'm not thoughtful, which is shame on me. Bad joke. Bad joke. So I need to be thoughtful about the music all the time and my approach all the time. So just make sure I keep the same quality, that great resonance, all the way up the stroke, up the D string, and I don't just become like, and just doing the same stroke throughout, because the quality won't be the same, or at least not the level that I would like it to be. Now it's time to record. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, the context of this. It is a little bit around because they go bum, bum, and we answer bum, bum. So bing, bum, bing, da, 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 and it's this great kind of, it's a round. It's a musical round in rhythm, but not in pitch, which is another great compositional technique, because we hear the thematic material and we can hear how those themes in rhythm help create the counterpoint that is this wonderful and lovely Mozart's 29th Symphony.